Well, if you want to give me a couple of topics to cover for today. Hold it. She gets my jokes, why can't you? Okay. Anyone else?
Hero's journey.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Let me start, today by again thanking everyone. As we said, this is the last day, the last service we're doing as Unity of Sedona. I mean, technically that changed months ago, years ago, but officially now last week. And it's wonderful. I mean, I get a lot of great feedback from people who have said, during the whole COVID thing, you guys really stood out. You really made a difference. Streaming live and being here and allowing people to wear masks, not wear masks, and be respected. They felt it. I mean, I've gotten some great feedback about how we, because it was all of us, shined light. That we just kept being the light. Well, but it's important that we all get that. I mean, did you do that? Don't just tell us that we did that. What did you do? Did you shine or did you get scared? Which is okay. To get scared is human, and to move past that is divine. So it's okay. But please, when you see the positive examples that you feel I or we set, ask yourself, and how are you doing that? You have to become what you love, right? So that was fantastic. And we've seen changes. There's a few people that left when they asked me to come here years ago to be the spiritual leader. A few people left, hundreds added. When we started live streaming, a few people said, oh no, I want it to be only ours. They left and thousands added. Is it worth it? You ask yourself in your life, when you make changes for the better, how does it pan out? It does, by the fruits, you're supposed to look at things and say, is it fruitful? And so when we moved buildings, some people, I want the other building, that had rats and things, because it was like 80,000 years old and everything was falling down and collapsing. And, we understand you loved it. We loved it. It's great. We just keep shining the light. We just keep, and I understand. One guy was very beautiful, very, very beautiful and responsible. He was on the original board when I got here. He left after a while, and I saw him later, and I said, where have you been? How you doing? He said, it's beyond amazing who you are, what you do, what you guys are doing, what Unity of Sedona has done and become. He said, but I wanted our small, 40 people Sunday services. I just wanted that. And you know what? I think it's beautiful. He knows what he wants, and this wasn't it. But he handled it responsibly, I think. So I was very, very proud of him. He didn't say, you guys are wrong. He just said, he owned it. He said, I'm kind of messed up. I want my old, I said, that's beautiful. In my head, I'm thinking that's called hoarding. No, I didn't say that. But, it kind of is. So got to keep the old stuff. But in your life and in our life, when people can't adapt, it has nothing to do with you. Okay? When you're done with a relationship, and I'm not excusing people who prematurely jump out of everything and run all the time, not at all. But I'm just saying it's, exactly. But just check this out and say to yourself, when there's a change in your life, here's what humans do. A little annoyance, they allow their ego to inflate into a major fire, like a deal breaker. Be careful. You might have a relationship that only has a 10% annoyance, and you allow it to become a deal breaker. And that's because the ego wants us to be unloved, unlovable, constantly on the run, constantly finding fault. And I mean, there could be people here that can do that. Week after week going, Oh my God. And then one day, whatever it is, I'll say something, do something with the wrong musicians they didn't like, or what, and they're like, oh my God, I'm out of there. It's not like we don't see through that. That's your ego causing you to run from something that was good and helpful to you, unless it was a major deal breaker kind of a thing. I could have my favorite musicians in the old days, and I would go and see them. They might change musicians in the band. I remember one band that did that. And I was like, I really don't like the new member. It's the way they played. It was really not them. But it was an annoyance. And it's my annoyance for me to work on, right? It was not a deal breaker. It was not at all a deal breaker. So, see, you own it, and you keep it to what really is the situation. Like the guy who said, I want to keep my small little congregation. I think it's absolutely astounding to see that level of, responsible behavior. But to have that, to be gaining so much from a partnership or a job that you love, but you're kind of wanting to retire, don't start shaming the job. Don't start making everybody there bad just so you can feel better about retiring. But that's what humans do. I want to retire, and I can't clear it in my head that this is really what's going on, so I'm going to start fault finding to excuse me for going. You follow? And same with partnerships. You just make stuff up to justify your wanting to go. Just, no, this is where I'm at. But if this is where I'm at, and I'm making certain decisions, if it's not your fault, see, how am I going to live and blame you? I've got to justify what I'm doing. And it can't be my thing, it's got to be yours. So this is what humans do. So Jesus himself would not have been well liked in Sedona. Because the first time he said something like, when his friends in Sedona would have said, Jesus, we heard you're going to do something we don't like you to do, And he says, get behind me, Satan. I mean, Sedona people would be like, first of all, we don't believe in Satan, man. And second of all, we're like totally don't believe in evil or hell. So what does he mean, like, get behind me, Satan? Not to mention that was like rude. That's what would have happened. And he would have been like, and I don't care what you think. Like, this is just the truth. Because the firmness, sometimes, man, you've got to say this is over. Sometimes, even mom, dad, you got to say, listen, I don't mind talking as long as we're staying loving. If it starts going into weirdness and you start, calling me a witch, or you start, anti-religious comments, and if you start telling me you can't talk to me because you might catch my virus through the phone, and I need to wear a mask when I'm on the phone to you, and a complete, has-been suit, I call it, anyway. I know, right? You just say, Mom, bye, click. She calls back, click. She calls back, call her block. Take care, man. It's okay. But some people are going to get annoyed. They think spirituality has to look the way they want it to look. But your decisions in your life, as long as they're congruent with you, I will absolutely tell you up front, we love balance here. There's times we say yes, times we say no. Times total obedience and times enough. And someone's going to get annoyed by such things. So in your life, and I'm saying this partly because of the way the world is going, in your life, please be true to yourself. All of yourself, your beliefs and whatever they happen to be. And your beliefs are only your beliefs today. As our dear lead chaplain said, he said earlier today in a meeting, this is where you are today, okay? Don't stick too hard on these things, just recognize. All I know, like for us, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness, and some of us have heard nothing but praise that we're going in that direction. And one or two of us were like, oh, I had one person or two, say, what's that? Christ consciousness. That sounds Christian, or it sounds to this or to that. Just ask. We'll explain. Christ consciousness is, synonymous with God. It's just that if we would have called this the Center for God, or God consciousness, someone would have been annoyed. Do you mean the feminine aspect of God or the masculine? Somebody would have still had a problem with it. Why do you have to use the word God? Call it spirit. Now we just sound like a New Age store, the Center for Spirit. Come here and buy your yoga pants and, and crystal pyramids. And it sounds like just kind of a beautiful New Age store. We got to own who we are. This is a Center for Christ Consciousness, the highest consciousness anyone can attain. Why is it the highest? Because it's the name of what you really are. Krishna consciousness. It's not like we are the center, the global center of semi-consciousness. The global center for pseudo-enlightenment. That doesn't make sense to me. This is who I am. And if people say, oh, it's too, fine, complain, leave. Doesn't matter to me. We're just going to honor who we are. And apparently it works because you're all sitting here filling up the chairs and watching from around the world. And it's because some part of us all knows, part of us, all of us knows this is the time we're in. It's the time of the second coming. Oh, is Jesus returning? No, he's awakening in you. Christ has to be born in us. We have to remember who we are. Thank you. And some people are like, I was just hoping for a kind of an ascension. Well, then you should go to this Center for Pseudo-Enlightenment or Semi-Enlightenment, where you get to ascend to the 5th level of dimension instead of all the way home. You'll never hear me talk much, really. It would be rare for me to talk about me going to a certain dimension. Michael, when all changes, are you going to the 5th dimension, 8th dimension? Shh. Like Buddha says, shh. Don't name it. I'm going home. I won't limit, that's not me. Bing, 5th floor, anybody getting out? No. Bing, 6th floor. I'm not getting out, man. All the way home. Someday, no, today. I make this choice today to be all the way home. On that note, and in regard to the request you guys shared, we're entering a new age. And it's funny to me that there are people out there still saying, oh, you remember, Y2K, it never happened. Oh, 2012, it never. What do you need to see happening before you realize it did happen? The world has never been the same since 2000. Since 2012, it's just escalating. All of those prophecies were true. People started backpedaling like, oh, well, maybe we got the date wrong. What were you waiting for? Like just really some kaboom? It was never predicted to be a 1-hour event. This is a process that we're in. And this is hitting everybody on every level, but I don't want to go too far into like prophecies, but everything is changing. The bad news is it's a global dark night of the soul, and the dark night of the soul never feels good. That's why it's called the dark night of the soul instead of the gray night of the soul, the semi-dark night of it's the dark night of the soul. And people will say, but the problem is I'm having faith issues. You will. That's the point. Well, no, I want to not have if I'm in the dark night, I want to not have, that's nice. Thanks for sharing. But that's what the dark night means. Nothing works. My prayers, my hopes, my dreams, things aren't going my way. Things aren't going the way I would hoped. People are dying or people are this and pandemics and personal or global issues. That's the dark night. Our job is not to ask God to get us out of it. It's to be with us while we're in it. How you change a dark night is by turning on the light. Where you are and by calling on God to help you do it. Don't try to do it on your own. Oh, I'm a light worker. I'll affirm it. As the poles are shifting and planets, the mountains are sinking and continents are sinking. Atlanteans from 10,000 years ago are popping up out of the ocean going, man, that was weird. I was almost running out of air. I've been under the ocean for 10,000 years. Welcome to my mind. But anyway, there's going to be all this and you're going to be like, all is good in my life. All is good. It's going to be all is good. Boom. And all is good. Boom. You affirm no matter what's happening around you. You know the truth, but respect the illusion. And it's okay for you to say, out of the darkness into the light, like the song. It's beautiful. Say that. And then you happen to notice an asteroid about to land. You might want to move. Out of the darkness into the, because the darkness might have been the shadow of the asteroid. Out of the, shadow of the asteroid, I'll move to the right. It's okay. Keep knowing the truth. Keep affirming the truth. You'll make changes and some people will not like them. Don't let them guilt shame you. Be who you are. If they were really worth being in your life, they would have come to you and said two things primarily. One, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing my part in how I'm feeling. That's called responsible behavior. Only then, after they've processed their little trigger with you or whatever, they would say, and you did something once where you abruptly took something out of my hand, the keys to the building. If you take something from me, I have triggers around that. Would you do me a favor and let me know you're doing it because I got startled? See, that's responsible. I realize it's my triggers, and you can still know that I'm a loving enough, I being any of us, I'm a loving enough person to where you can communicate an issue and I'll work with you on it. See, that's perfect. That's all you can expect. If people don't want to talk, they don't want to communicate, they don't want to work on the issues, change what you can, accept what you can't. Walk away. Well, but they might think this, they're going to. When somebody doesn't want to like you or wants to find fault, they're going to. And if it isn't today, it's going to be tomorrow. Why prolong it? Just rip the keys out of their hand again and get it over with. Let them throw a tantrum and leave. Maybe not for you, but it's okay. Just being who we really are. So I call this being light workers. We're not just on the planet and we're not just ascending there. All this is happening. But we're light workers. There's two major categories of light workers, teachers and healers. But there's a third category. Anyone who just chooses to hold space. You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be a healer, but just moms, poets, musicians, anyone trying to hold space, they're light workers. Now, what if they don't know it? That's fine. Then it's being unconscious light workers. And that's sad to me. Not because it's bad, because if they knew what'll happen to their music, to their parenting, when they own who they really are, everything ramps up. It changes how you parent. It changes how you politic. It changes how you sing. Everything goes to another level. And, that can be intimidating, which is why some people just seemingly by coincidence don't know such terms. New Age or Ascension or Light Worker. They don't want to know because it's too intimidating. The famous John Lennon, he got all these beautiful songs. All you need is love. I mean, how much more direct can you be, right? All you need is love. And later on, he writes, whatever gets you to the light, mind games, imagine, beautiful tunes. But he had anxiety attacks over this. He started saying, I don't want to write spiritual stuff anymore because people expect it to always be deep. It's got to be great. It's got to be perfect, or they judge it. So he caved to anxiety and he stopped writing. And then when he comes back, they're just real simple tunes. I love my wife. I love my kid. I love my wife. I love my kid. And it's like, wow, where's the depth? My heart goes out because I understand it. He was living with this spotlight on and show us how spiritual you can be. And he already had anxiety about performing and being a Beatle and how everybody expects perfection. Their last concert, he just goes nuts. He's just doing all these silly things on stage. George Harrison years later said, I don't think anybody realizes it, but John was having a nervous breakdown on stage. Yeah. He was on stage, and he's on the keyboard and he's doing this with his elbow on the keys and just noise and noise. It was his way of saying, there's something inside, help. It's bursting to get out. Something inside, I don't know what it is. And it was all kinds of things. It was knowing God, but not knowing how to connect with God. All you need is love, but I have anger issues. So that inner conflict creates, at the very least, anxiety disorders. So there are these three categories. Now, some of us lean towards one or the other out of the three. Very rarely, some of us embrace two. I'm a teacher and healer. Very, very rarely can someone say, I do all three. I'm a healer and a teacher, and I know how to hold presence. But if I asked this kind of audience, online and here, I would bet you a good number would say all three, and I think that's beautiful. Once upon a time, that wasn't the case. It's changing. Why and how is that changing? Because the more we accept our Christ self, the more we awaken all three. Because in Christ, there's no limitation. It's our God self. And I know people get tripped out about, names. Christ self, it sounds Christian and so on. I get that. But one of you asked about the word discipline and trust. That really plays into this. Discipline means own who you are. Discipline means not to cave when someone gets all weird about that. I'm a teacher, I'm a healer. People come to me anywhere, this town or any other town, and they say, I'm a healer. Really? With that? Okay, cool. Now, tomorrow, I have a major health crisis. I call, I'm gone for the week. I'm going to be with my beloved. We're going to be, stirring stew in a campsite somewhere or whatever. Don't tell me you're a healer. I'm saying this, man. I know this is one of those moments where Michael sounds too intense. That's okay. I'm talking, not you. So don't call yourself a healer if there are other priorities in your life. Say, I'm a mommy. I think that's perfect. Completely be that mom. I'm not saying you can't do two things. I'm saying, where's your priority? Nurturer, mother, perfect. But it gets challenging when you say, I'm a healer. Because if I hear that, I'm going to hold you to that. That's what you said you are. Hi, I have somebody that needs some help. Your sessions are $200. They can only afford $150. Oh, no, I won't work with them. See, there's a difference. And I'm not saying, there's times when I'll say no, because it's, or my staff or whatever, to people that want this and want that. There's times to say no. But where is your priority? I said this before as well. The spiritual leaders, they call themselves in this world, the ones most respected, are just false prophets. And I don't mean that in a rude way. Let me explain. They're actually just authors that are successful. They don't live the life. They don't talk God. They don't even talk Christ consciousness. They just talk about, self-help or whatever. They are, just call them what they are. They're just teachers. They're authors, rather. They're just successful authors. There's publishing companies that call themselves New Age publishing companies. And they're known by us authors as the New Age Mafia. Why? How could that be? Because that's how they behave. Teachers and healers have made success, fame, and money their priority. Not God and mankind. Fame and success, money. Publishing companies have done it, and the teachers and healers out there. They don't care about healing. They're just selling books, and I think that's great. Don't think that I'm saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm only saying they're mislabeled. Call things for what they really are. And please stop people out there that are, I'm a healer, when in fact you have 5 other things that are more important. A healer isn't, like you can be a naturopath and be a healer, but you could also be a naturopath and not be a healer, just a naturopath. You studied something, and now you're doing, not being. There's a difference. See, you could never separate in me the teacher and healer from Michael. I've tried. Trust me. In some moments, I've thought, okay, well, and I've had people say, so Michael, when are you not the teacher and the healer? And when they, exactly. Right? See, and I laugh too, honey. Those people asking me, now it's kind of rude for them to say, when are you not? Because what they're trying to do is say, we need you to not be this spiritual person. You get that? It's kind of rude and so on and so on. But actually, it's not them. They're mirroring me. Michael, yes, in their form of them. Michael, yes. Are you ever not this? And I had to answer the question. Not, how dare you? It's more like, They're never separate. When I answered them, I answered who? Myself. Same for you. When somebody's saying, oh, how long are you going to be into this, honey? We didn't bring you up to be new agey, spiritual. We brought you up to our traditional religion or whatever their trip is, your husbands, wives. They're mirroring a question to you, and your job is to step up and answer it, not just to them, but to you. You see? answer. I'm owning this. And that's powerful. When a naturopath or healer of any, physician or any kind of healer, or teacher or life coach or counselors or whatever, when you realize, or even musicians, when you realize this is your ministry, it's not just a talent or a job, although it can be. I'm a naturopath or a chiropractor, an herbalist, and I'm just doing my measurements and selling things. It's all very linear, and that's fine. You're an herbalist, but don't say you're a healer. I'm saying the new age of healers and teachers is an umbrella under which many things can be, but those individual things don't make you the umbrella. I'm doing these things. I am this thing. Does that make sense? So, do what you want with it. But the whole world is going to be testing everybody to see if you're living up to that thing, because that's who we ultimately are. What if you only label yourself little? Fine, live up to that for now, that's fine. But I'm saying to you, you will never leave the earth plane. You will never end incarnating until you own the whole enchilada. Own the whole thing. But you said, Michael, we can own the small. For now, yes. But the whole time, the world's going to be calling you to step up to your real title. I am, as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I am awake, you see, and owning that. Stepping in and owning that and realizing, wow, this is so beautiful and so heavy. In a sense, and churches have done the same thing. They started, they were always doing their thing, just, amazing grace, we're all sinners from now, and it's just, and everything was just kind of dull. But then Christ consciousness entered some minds and said, what about new thought? What about we're not sinners? What about we are the love of God? Well, that's a novel concept. They became called, New Thought churches. Beautiful. But now the New Thought churches have become the old New Thought because they stayed stuck at the level of being in between the old way and the new way. They stayed stuck as a bridge. The good news is they're still there bringing some old school people into the old new thought system. I think I got it. Okay? But what if you're the new thought? What if it's not just a more palatable, softer approach of spirituality? What if it's calling us to become the consciousness, the mind, put on the mind of Christ, as the Bible says. Put on the mind of Christ. All that I have done, you shall do, and more. Wow, Jesus said that. So we worship Jesus and we talk Jesus in fundamental churches, but he's already saying, man, I'm handing this to you because you are this thing too. Jesus, when is the second coming? And all he could think of is, oy vey, like, you guys are waiting for my second appearance. You're not getting it. All that I am, you shall be. Put on the mind of Christ. How else do I have to say it? It's not, and he even uses the term, you're going to hear people say, there he is, there he is. See, and don't listen to those people. He's over there. What did he mean? Because there is no over there. It's poof, inside. And the common denominator between truly being a light worker who holds presence, or as a teacher, or as a healer, is your level of forgiveness. I don't mean, just like people that are annoying, well, okay, I forgive the guy that just cut me off on the road. That's true, you do that. I'm talking about we are learning as we develop greater God consciousness, Christ consciousness, we're realizing I have to forgive everything. I have to forgive myself for believing in death. I have to forgive myself for believing that in this room I see men and women. You're not a body. How could you be a man or a woman? I have to forgive myself for thinking you look older than that person. All of my perceptions are wrong. Everything you ever thought you knew was inaccurate. And that's why we have moments of epiphanies. And people think, wow, I had this epiphany that brought me up. Actually, you got to the point where you were willing to let go of something that kept you down. It's not like God actually said, let's see, I'm kind of bored today. I think I'm going to appear to you. I like brunettes. I favor men or women. I think I'm going to appear to you like some random thing. God can never appear to us without our being open to it on some level. Well, I know somebody that was atheist and they were rude and crude and they weren't open to it on some level. The tumblers of that lock fell into place somehow. Click, the safe opens. The wrong tumblers, it doesn't happen. And some of us are like, well, when do my tumblers fall into? Shh. As soon as you start thinking to make it happen, you're already out of that anyway. So we're light workers, but we're also healers, teachers, and people that hold presence. You're allowed to say, no, I hear you, even if you agree with me, I hear you, but I really want to lean towards one. It's already overwhelming. I'm a healer, let me work on that. I think it's great. I'm only saying that as we awaken to who we really are, all three kind of come in. The word trust that one of you asked about, man, that is trust. To be able to say, there's so much more to me, and I'm going to stay open to it downloading into my being. Well, downloading a little already made siblings never talk to me again. Now, how much more? What do I basically become friendless? Is that the way of, no, but it might start off that way. Moses had to part the sea to walk through it. Sometimes it's like, you guys over there, I'm going there. And that's just the way it's going to be. Well, I don't want it to be that way. Okay, then be a spiritual hoarder. Keep everybody in their little place, every toothpick, every paper clip, which means every person, every relationship, and I'm telling you, they're going to go anyway. The difference is, do I get to participate in the departure of those who are not going the same direction? Or do I become a victim of it? Because they're going to go anyway. When they don't, when they want to find fault, they're going to find fault anyway. So let's just move on. It's, I know that's easier said than done. So those who seem to be spiritual trendsetters, what I meant by false prophets is they're appearing to be light workers doing the work of God. Here's the definition, more or less. A light worker. You're serving God and mankind. Not I'm collecting funds from mankind. There's nothing wrong with being prosperous at all. But like I've written books. I'd go on tour. The book selling is part of my income. Half the time I'd forget to even announce that I had them. It was kind of funny because they weren't the priority. Teaching, healing, being of service that way, that's what I was about. And people would say, well, you forgot, Michael, and that sales. And I would just say, it's still going to come to me if it's meant to come to me. It's all okay. This beautiful woman, she was a minister for a long time of a religious science church. I shared this story recently with a few of you, but man, it was amazing. She asked me, would you come and speak at our church? Sure. So I put it on my list, and we toured there that year and several years after. But she said, we want you to do a workshop. I said, well, okay, which one? something usually, let me introduce myself to the group. We'll do something kind of simple, clear, beautiful, and all that. Oh, do your healing the heart and soul. Not heal, it's the healing workshop, which was like a 2-day, 4-day, 5-day intensive. I'm like, you're kidding me. Like that's heavy, deep healing stuff. Not just the healing the heart and soul book kind of work. This was deep healing work. And I'm like, you're kidding. No, that's what I feel guided. I'm like, okay. I trusted and went with it. We did the workshop. When we were done, let's pretend it made $4,000. She hands me all the money. I said, okay, well, here's your 50% or whatever the percentage was. And she was always, no, honey. That was always her word. Honey, no, we don't need any money from it. I'm like, well, this is your percentage as the center. God takes care. She's going, God is the source. This is only the resource. I always love that saying. I said, okay, so wow. So I became prosperous. I made $4,000 and so on. She writes me 2 weeks later and says, guess what? One of your attendees was so transformed, she wrote us a check for $60,000. Right? You're cool, huh? That woman lived this kind of level of trust that some of us would only just hear about, like you just heard. Some of us live that, and that's our job. To be able to say, like last week, I gave away a bunch of my relationships book. It's just the way it is. It's okay. Give how you can, where you can, your time, your consciousness, your love, your prayers. When the world is crashing more and more, and you can't give today when things are still reasonably decent, how are you going to give when you're more afraid than you were today? Don't be calling yourself light worker if you can't shine light. Bring light, bring help into people's lives. We do such an impeccable job here at being the presence. And once in a while we'll slip in a way that we don't like. Once in a while we'll slip in a way that you don't like. Our job, forgive. Correct, move on. Someone doesn't accept the correction, that's because they're staying broken in your life or our life. But we're light workers, and the world is changing. We're light workers. We are the light of God. So let's wrap our minds around this before we're done. The Big Bang takes place, let's say. And I don't care about science. Some of them believe and some of them don't believe in the Big Bang. I don't care. The Big Bang took place. When that happened, we'll call it the great central sun, the pinhole in the whole dark universe. If you get into mythology, they describe creation with more elaboration, not in contradiction, because the book of Genesis is actually mythology that got written down. I swear to God. All the things you hear in the gospel, Genesis said, yeah. And you know where they got it? From ancient people beyond their years. It was mythology telling us the following. There was this black nothingness. That's the moment that the children of God said, let's close our eyes. We were awake in God 1 minute, the next minute. Let's close our eyes and imagine. In that moment, boom, the black universe started forming. We closed our eyes and said, what would life be like if we could be separate? First thing, blackness. Secondly, what would life be like if we were separate? Well, boom! The great central sun that was the children of God blew and fragmented into souls. A countless number. Let's pretend it's 1 trillion souls. Just as the universe exploded and became several suns. They're actually called stars. Some people, have this thing about the word sun and the word star, and it just goes nowhere to argue that. The bottom line is they're all stars. All these fiery masses, they're all stars. Well, why is ours called the sun? Because we named it the sun. That's why. We named our star the sun. But I would also argue that one day will come any place that there's a solar system with life on the planets, that star needs to be changed, called a sun. But that's another conversation. In any case, all of those fiery masses, all the stars, including our own sun, they're all symbols of us blasting apart. So there is a star, which I've said before, I know, there's a star that has your name on it, energetically. There's a star that is the symbol of every one of us. When the universe blew apart, it was us leaving each other and leaving God. The more we separated, the more we became separate. But Jesus said, I am the light of the world, which means he's saying, I'm making myself right now a proclamation that I am synonymous with the sun in the solar system that gives you light and warmth. I'm identifying with the sun. But he says, you're also the light of God. Well, if I'm the light of, I'm a star too. And I don't mean like a star, like, look at me, I'm a star. It's an ego kind of a basis. I'm talking every one of us is a star. Every one of us is a light. Now, if we didn't exist, the universe would be black again, blackened. You're bringing light, if you're a star, and you are, to the darkened universe, right? That's what the suns do, the stars do. They're light in the darkness. But that's a metaphor. If those stars bring light to the black universe, you're supposed to be bringing light to the dark world. I can't even bring light to the passengers in my car. And I'm the only one in there. You know what I mean? Like, how do I become a light unto the universe? It will happen. The Yes song It can happen to you, it will happen to me, and it'll happen to everyone eventually. It's happening. It's who we are. It's not like we became not it and now we're going to become it. It's already who we are. But we choose to play small. We choose to forget who we are and play small. And then we live with guilt and shames, right? I mean, there's no better word for it. Playing small. One of you asked about new beginnings. It's just perfect for what we're talking about here. But what is your new beginning? Is it the same old beginning? I got divorced. Endings. I'm ready for a new life. Hey, look, there's someone just like my ex. It doesn't make sense. I want them. And then sometimes you actually, don't see that they're the same. They look different. Different name, different skin color. It doesn't matter. They're just flying in under the radar. If you're not different, how can they be different? That's why to take a break and clear stuff is so important. And or if you're in a relationship, to not go all the way into commitments and all, partner, life mate, and finish healing. If you die married and you're a screwed up person, you're just a screwed up, formerly married, dead person. Nothing changed. If you live or die and you worked on yourself, that is permanent change. Permanent change. You're raising the bar on what you can attract, prosperity-wise, partnership-wise, and so on. So, we are the light of God in a darkened place. And yeah, it's okay for us to say, it feels unfair. Why do I have to shine more light? I'm tired today. Then be tired. Because if you are the light of God, you deserve to rest. See, it's okay to go, today I'm just not in the mood to shine. I'm like, darkness. And you walk through life like the spiritual version of Pigpen with this, dust pouring out, your aura looks all dark and whatever. Yeah, I'm in a mood, man. That's just the way I feel today. Someone said just recently, it's hard to affirm all that great stuff when you're not feeling it. That's especially when you need to affirm that stuff. And you know what I would do? I wouldn't do it like denial. I am not feeling negative. I am feeling bright. I would say despite feeling dark today. That's what I would do. Why? Because I'm owning how I feel instead of pushing it down. I am not feeling this. I'm feeling that. Which Jesus referred to as polishing tombstones. You still have a dead person inside. You polish it up as much as you want. It's still dead body. I don't want to be that. I want to open the tomb and let this light shine on this dead body and bring it to a resurrection. Man, I'm feeling this way. I know it feels yucky. However, and the creepiness of Halloween, for some people, but it's like, let's do Halloween. Boom, here I am. Skeletons in the closet. Oh my God, there's old stuff. Oh, and I didn't know they would come up in this, process. And let the light shine, and all the little moths and things come flying out, and ghosts and goblins. Let them out. The light shines, and you resurrect. That's how it's going to happen. Not by pretending you don't have issues. Let the light shine on it. I'm a light worker. I'm a healer. I'm a teacher. And they say, well, we're all teachers. I don't mean just the ones that say that. I'm talking about when you own it. Are you really? And what is a teacher of God? How do we know if it's authentic teacher, healer? Is their first priority God and mankind? I'm not leaving you out of the equation, as it might sound, like the sacrificial, I'm here for everybody else and I'm drained because of everybody else. I'm not saying that. I'm actually made more of who I am by being of service to God and mankind, not in a codependent way. Because I know it's God, self, and others. But when I'm truly here, I'm of service to others. See, there's not a doing to it. It's this easy kind of presence. We will never ascend. We can talk, fifth dimension, and I believe it. It's all happening. I get it. But you will never fully ascend without accepting who you really are. And so the world is now squeezing everybody. It's basically, it's an alchemical process, and the flame is getting turned up. We're burning. The world is burning because it's not our real home. All that is unlike love has to go. Yes, politics, economy, as we know, all those things, including relations and whatever else we're attached to. It all has to go. Blame everybody else for it, which is typical. You know, well, if only a different politician, if only a different science, if only, that's not where it comes from. It's here. Forgive what you think you see, and then be a different scientist, politician, doctor, whatever else you do. Bring forgiveness into everything you do, an attitude of responsible behavior and forgiveness. This isn't about frequencies only. This isn't about when you go into a building, do this chant, because you'll anchor Christ's presence if you do this particular chant, which does work. But if you do that with an unloving heart, it's not authentic. Step in there, access the divine inside, and then do the chant. Then do the mantra, then do the song, then do the prayer. Hold presence wherever you go. Some people are saying, well, I'm a nurse and I want to enter this new world, this new dimension of healing. But you know, nurses are often kind of, squashed down. Our job isn't to change the outside world, it's to change the inner world. Shine bright enough, the light will then change the outside world. We're waiting for the outside to change. And which is why humanity is so messed up. It's trying to manipulate the outside to make ourselves feel better, more powerful, more wealthy, like so much of the world. And instead, it's like, no, how can I be of service? Why would I be of service? You know why? It isn't an action. Like, I'm not just telling you, make yourself be of service. The more you practice being the presence of love, it's an automatic thing that's going to happen. I'm just going to feel like I want to help today. You follow? You can't be love and then go, I'm the presence of love. Get away from me. It doesn't make sense. The presence of love, remember, forgiveness is what love does. It's an organic thing. Forgiveness is what love does. Just like trickling water calls birds, and other animals. There's certain things, it's a call, it's a vibe, and there's a natural response. Well, love is just automatically forgiving. So keep an eye on your heart and soul. Keep an eye on your, how forgiving are you? Step up, be more responsible. Catch yourself when stuff is getting triggered. We're entering a new age, and I'm back to full circle to that. We are entering a new age. It was predicted. We went through the dates of prediction, and they were right on time, telling us something's happening. And some people thought it simply meant everything, turns to lavender incense or whatever in the world. Every household now burns incense, Then we'd have a lavender shortage. Somebody would complain and we'd have a problem again. So instead, what's happening? We are entering a new age, but the old age has to die. My old ways of thinking, my old ways of living, all of the past has to go. So we remind ourselves that one reason we're here is to remind ourselves of that. One reason you meditate is to remind yourself. Don't just meditate because it sounds kind of fashionable. You're supposed to be different when you're done meditating. Well, how can I be different? I sat in silence. Really? Okay. So you gained the skill of silence. How about trying this? Learn silence, and then in the silence, the voice of God. Okay, I did that. Now I'm starting to hear the voice of, great, you're still not there. Have you integrated being the voice of God? Whatever guidance you got, did you become it? See, so remember this. I am the light of the world. That sounds arrogant. Okay, walk into any fundamental religion church. Hi, everyone, I'm the light of the world. I don't think they're going to respond favorably. I don't. I did this once where there was this gathering at Mount Shasta, and it was supposed to be all like the spiritual leaders in the region. And so there was a bunch of us, gathered in this big circle. And some of them knew me and some of them didn't. And we knew each other and some of us didn't know each other. But so we're all in this circle. So we're going to now hear from Jeremiah Das, peace, joy, the being of, whatever, Hi, I'm Jeremiah Das, da, 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 da. And I channel from the 18th dimension. People are like, oh, how cool, beautiful. And then someone else, I'm Tiffany from the Center of Peace and Love. Wow. And everybody was wowed. And they got to me. I said, I'm Michael. I'm from the local Christian church, and I'm here to convert you all. And there was this, like, how did he get in? I gave it just enough time before I said, no, I'm kidding. Somebody else's name, Shenra Ta, and I'm just saying, I love it. I love that we take on our spirit names. I do. What I'm saying is we take it so seriously sometimes, and I'm here to convert you all, and they just went into panic mode. Why not? I am the light of the world, So you walk in and you make these pronouncements, I am. Imagine a family reunion. Imagine a school, class reunion. Let's all introduce ourselves. Your 20th, your 40th, whatever, it's class reunion, and you stand up and I am. As God created me, I will to be the Christ on earth. You see, now if I did that, I know the people that remember me from the high school, they'd have said, he's always been a little, all it would do is confirm their suspicions. But guys, I'm not saying literally overtly push buttons. That's, could be egotistic. But I'm saying, but it's true. I am the light of the world. I'm a star, and I bring light to the universe. And I need to start living up to that and bring light to the world, to the people around me. How? Pay someone forward when they're in the shopping line. Give an extra tip. Well, how am I going to do that? You give an extra $5 to a waiter, waitress, or whatever, a server, and you think, well, but I don't have. You'll get more when you learn to give more. Your consciousness grows. And so what if? Well, what if I give $5 and the world systems fall apart? You're going to be warmer sooner when your air shuts off. That $5 isn't going to make or break anything. That's all. Okay? It's in the big picture, it's not. Trying to save for that dark moment that we fear isn't going to help us. Practice giving, sharing, shining the light in a way that you feel you can afford. I'm not telling you to do it to my degree or me to do it your degree. In some way, but always more if you can. Always a bit more. How can I shine more today? Lightworkers are the people that are helping with animal rescues. Lightworkers, they're making a difference. So I pray that you're all finding a way to make your difference. To be like, Ananda Das in the music, it's a ministry, in my opinion. I'm not saying that that's what he calls it. I'm saying when you see somebody doing their soul's purpose, when you know it's who they are, not what they do. It is also what they do, but it's who they are. There's no separation from that. If I were someone that he were like attracted to and said, hey, let's have a partnership. And I said, great, but I want you to let go of the whole music thing. He would be absolutely wrong to say, agree to that. You're telling me to not be who I am. If I did that and you put tape over my mouth, in my sleep, I would start, it's who I am. So if that would be a buzzkill, if that would be a deal breaker, let's just break the deal now, right? Own who you are. Shine your light. Making sense? All right, thank you. Let's do a moment of centered meditation. I am the light of the world. God, how beautiful. I am the light of the world. 2,000 years ago, Jesus activated the third eye of someone named Mary Magdalene, as well as his apostles. There's a saying he used, let thine eye be single and you will be filled with light. Why? Because you open the divine eye, close the human eyes. There's only one real eye, the I am of God. She's said to have lived out her years in the Pyrenees Mountains. She lived in these honeycomb caves that are some of the most complex in the world. There's no light in them. And yet, she lived in these honeycomb caves and didn't use light to navigate the caves. How could that be done when you're a light unto yourself? The Bible ends with our awakening and says, there will come the day, no more darkness in the universe. There will no longer be day and night, there'll just be light. When we become light, we can't perceive duality any longer. It won't be the sunlight of the day and the darkness of the lack of sunlight. We will be the Son of God. S-U-N. By remembering that we are the holy child of God. But is that true today? Spend the next couple of minutes just in your own imagination. If you are, and you are, a holy child of God, a light to the world, spend the next couple minutes visualizing first where you're not acting like the light of God, and forgive yourself. Make amends by saying, this is going to change starting now. If you've darkened your own world or other people's, own it, forgive, and move forward. Do that for a minute and then shift into imagining, if you are the light of God, what does that look like? What does that look like in your day-to-day life? Do the first part and then the second. Where and when were you not being the light? Oops. Oops. I slipped here, I slipped there. Oops. That's all. Make it right. I'll do better at that. When you allowed fear to take precedence, greed to take precedence, oops, got it. And begin visualizing the second part for about a minute. I am the light of the world. Well, don't you dare say that if you're not going to live it. It'll create conflict inside. Duality. Say it and imagine doing it. You have all the power of the universe behind you. The will of God, all the power of God is behind you to support you in doing this. How could we fail? I am the light of God. Start by just picturing holding presents in family squabbles or just moments where people are in need. Picture yourself going to an animal shelter and just bringing love and light to those animals, not guaranteeing they live or die. You hold presence whether people live or die. You don't have to insist that everybody survive if you're a nurse in surgery. You hold presence whether they live or pass on. Objective, loving, unconditionally loving. How can you hold presence while you sing? How can you hold presence while you're at work selling homes? Day-to-day life, while you make love with yourself or others. Can you hold presence to where even a server at a restaurant feels something about you? Leave an impression of light. If a light bulb turns on in front of my eyes and then I close my eyes, you've seen how the flash remains? That's what you're supposed to do. Leave the presence of light indelibly ingrained into not just their eyes, their souls. Kindness. You bear a name, Sally, Sam, or it can be a spirit name. Raphael, like the angel. Ananda Das, like the musician. Yogananda. The question is, do you live up to it? And then some. And weighing that out, you'll see why some people are afraid of the name Christ. It's because they know they've not been living up to that. What they don't realize is they've already been forgiven for not living up to it. And in forgiving, they became it. I am the light of God.
And how may I serve you more? And how may I love you more? How may I be closer to you? How may I serve you more? How may I love you more? How may I be closer to you? And the seasons come and they go, changing over time. The leaves will grow and fall, the cycles of life. But you are the constant, ever in my life, guiding me on.
Just listen, feel. Before a tree has its branches, it's in the matrix of the tree before it was ever growing. A crystal has a matrix behind it. It grows into the matrix. We are the Christ growing into the matrix of the Christ. Is Ananda Das playing as a person trained, or is there a matrix of an artist, a musician? It looks like he's plucking guitar, singing, but is it that, or is it already there, just coming through? Right? Think about it. He isn't playing like it seems. It's there. I can't not be this. I can't not sing. We are allowed to do. There are people that are just trained and do. But there's a point where we all go, wait a minute. I'm going to surrender to the painting that's coming through. The parenting. Believe it or not, saying yes is that expression, as is saying no. Continue, eyes closed, some of you. If not, that's fine too. Just one more minute.
I wander through the mystic hills. Sedona dust my sandal fills. The trees, they beckon me with song. I know this is where I belong. The birds of wondrous colors talk, the cardinal and then the hawk. The clouds, the wind, the sun and moon all sing their own harmonic tune. It's here, midst all of nature's chatters, I know that this is all that matters. I'm in the moment, in the now, for all that is. I take my bow. The stage of life is all around, and I'm the actor, homeward bound. My body grounded to the earth, my spirit travels to my birth and backward leaps through time and space before the start of human race. No humans then, the silent land, mysterious, still the desert sand. I've known this place from long ago. I've sought it out from high and low and lifetimes past. But it's not changed. The red rocks have not rearranged. They now have names like Courthouse, Bell. It's all about love. Thank you, Michael.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Does it all just, isn't it beautiful? Wow. There's a matrix of divinity in us. All the conversation, they're words, but it's the matrix coming out. I'm only sharing what the divine matrix looks like when it reaches us verbally, audibly, through poem, through music, just perfect. Yeah, and we're all in the remembrance of that. Thank you. We're going to do our collection and our closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. Okay, hold one sec. Hold one sec. Okay, hold one sec. Put away your donations for a sec. You're welcome to still give a donation to the ushers when you're leaving, but what I'm going to do is, whatever our average donations are here each week, Dosi, okay? Just give me the average and take it from my own personal account, my funds, okay? So I'm going to make the donations for everybody today. It's what I'm receiving, so yeah, right? Baby, come back? No. So let me make your donations for you. If you want to add to it out of your guidance and generosity, please feel free. But we won't do a collection today. Somehow I'll take care of that. All right? So that we understand this isn't just talk. This is who we are. We do what we can to live this. All right? Thank you. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. So think about one thing, the funds you would have just shared. It's already multiplied. You already got it back, right? But trust in that more. Even when you hand it over, wherever, however, it's going to come everything. How could it not? There's nothing outside of us, so how can good karma not come back, bad karma not come back? It's the way it is, because it's all us. And also, donations, this is if I were in your shoes, I'd say, well, maybe I'll still give a donation, but also, why don't you take some of what you might have been giving and share it with our guest musician, okay, on your way out, his table's out there. Good? Deal? Yeah, you're welcome. Love you, brother. Yeah, you're amazing. What you do, who you are, it's just there's a vibe. Thank you. And Roger, God, I love it. I mean, this is the real world. You're seeing reflected through these folks. This is the real world being reflected through our guest musicians and each other. Okay? If that's what we choose to see. Like Buddha says, lift the veils and it's there. Course in Miracles saying, you have no idea how grateful you will feel when you lift the veils and see others for who they really are. Now, it's, them. Yeah, my ex. Oh, my sister, she's always been competitive with me. And all the labels. There's the day when that lifts and it's like, oh my God. They were there all along. Some bizarre spiritual version of, hide and seek. Closing, a couple quick notes. From here on, it's not bad to make checks to Unity of Sedona if and when you share donations, but we got to get used to the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. And some of the folks here call it the GCCC, and that just gets old. I mean, I just call this the center. I've always called it the center. But I've said before, GCCC, when you just pronounce that, it's geek. So we're spiritual geeks, okay? Chaplains are available for you to spend space and time with you, counseling. There'll be a chaplain prayer done here, but also the chaplains will be standing to the sidewalls. If you would like them to work with you, just walk over and ask them, and they'll bring you to some private spot to counseling, prayer, whatever you're looking for. Remember, if you're a visitor, crystal bed sessions are available, all right? And on social media, just, watch us here. Watch us on YouTube. If you're watching YouTube, some people have said, well, where is this gathering? And we take for granted that they know because we think they're watching today, but they're watching a year from now on YouTube. This is the Global Center for Christ Consciousness, formerly Unity of Sedona. You can go to our website, either of those names, but the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. We're switching everything over this week, so some things might take until next Sunday to kick in. The paperwork that you guys receive and the seat backs will be different. The signs will be different outside. Yeah. We ascend, baby. We are nowist, not Taoist. Remember to do your best to arrive a little early before the hour for each Sunday service. Remember that we're putting together, it's the next couple weeks, our new AC unit, heating and air. So we would appreciate any extra donations you can share towards that. All right? And again, a deep, deep gratitude for our guest musician today, Ananda Das. Next Sunday, we've got a workshop, Practicing Love and Forgiveness. I'll be presenting that, kind of based on the book I've written by the book of Love and Forgiveness, but also many other things we'll be covering. So join us there. It'll be live here in person and also live online. Lastly, join Danny Picard and Jade Lyons Friday, September 2nd. So it's not far away at all, for The Light of Two Worlds. It's a powerful blend of alchemical hypnotherapy and music. It's a very, very deep process. And by the way, I am very, very impressed and grateful for the incredible events that we have going on here. We choose to be the highest and choose to only have the highest. Ananda Das is currently doing a workshop here. He's been doing a music experience the last couple of days. Amazing, man, just amazing. The feedback and, it's been really, really, it's just cool vibes, yeah. And if you miss it and you want to join, remember next time he announces an event, you can catch it next time. But we've got Jade and company, they're going to be doing a beautiful process here in just a few days from now. Sign up for that if you can, and for the Sunday workshop on love and forgiveness, all right? But I'm very, very impressed. Dosie's in charge of special events. She's a board member, but also is in charge of special events. And I just love how selective, how it's important to say to people that want to rent space here, here's what we're about. Does that resonate with you? Some do and some don't, but you can count on us succeeding 90% of the time to being able to hold to our light and our integrities about who we have here, okay? We do our best. Once in a while, something will be a little, maybe, but for the most part, the musicians, they have to be great. They have to be great, but they have to be in here, great. In here, great, not just musically. They've got to be the highest consciousness. To me, this is serious. The selection of sacred readings in the day, we don't just do gratuitous sacred reading. Love. Love is butterflies, it's got to have depth. It's got to be good stuff. White Eagle, Yogananda, and whatever. It's got to be deep. And it's got to help set the tone of what we're experiencing. The talks have to be great. The music has to be great. I take it seriously that this is called, and why I called it this, a sacred Sunday service. It's an experience. It should never be where you leave like, that was really nothing. Got nothing from the music, got nothing from the talk. That's sad. And besides, it's your responsibility. Get something. Even if it's, you liked the person you sat next to. Find something good everywhere you go. That'll raise your level of goodness. All right, thank you. Please stand for our closing prayer. Thank you for the extra time it took. I shared the little tirade about us changing names and all that, so we went a little over with that sharing. Next week, our first, and I know it's going to be really cool. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last, just going to new levels. I pray that this really made sense on every level, but that it's really translating, not just you heard something wonderful. I pray that each of you is seeing already what you can and should be doing in your own life. Yes or no?
Yes.
Nice, nice.
It helped a lot.
Good,
Yes.
good. Yeah, we like application, man. Beautiful. The light of God surrounds us.
We are the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
We are the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
We are the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
We are the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, I am, we are, and so it is, and always shall be. Peace be with you all. Bye-bye.